Is life boring without alcohol? If you're on day one, the answer is yes, it's extremely boring. But what nobody tells you is that boredom is not a constant, it's a curve. And the further you climb up the ladder of self-mastery, the less of a problem boredom becomes. Most people quit in the first 30 days because they never get past stage one. So they walk away thinking sobriety is boring, but they're wrong. They just never saw the rest of the map. In this video, I'm going to share the 5 stages of becoming alcohol-free and exactly how boredom changes at every single level. Stage 1 is withdrawal, or AKA the white knuckle stage. It requires high willpower and extreme discipline. You've just removed something that touches almost every aspect of your life. So naturally, everything you thought was normal is going to feel different. You've removed a substance that chemically shifts your brain. So what you're feeling right now, it feels like boredom, but it's actually a deficiency. Here's the science. Your brain naturally produces dopamine. When you flood it with alcohol artificially, your brain says, okay, that's good enough. It shuts down its own dopamine production to find balance or homeostasis. So now that you've taken away alcohol, you have no artificial supply of dopamine, and your body isn't creating the natural supply either. So the feeling of boredom, it's actually just dopamine downregulation. And your brain is literally rebooting its own supply chain. You need to understand that this feeling is not forever. It's just your brain healing, trying to get back to baseline. And if you don't progress through this stage, you're going to give up and you're going to regress and say life without alcohol is boring and then go back to drinking. But you got to push through. You got to persevere this stage. Stage 2 is the replacement stage. Is it boring? Yeah, it can definitely be boring, but it's slightly less boring than stage 1. In this stage, we want to fill the void. And hopefully you don't fill the void with something unhealthy like smoking weed. We want to choose a life-giving void filler. So go to the gym, finding a new hobby, doing a passion project. But the problem is you're going to be a beginner in whatever that replacement activity is. And neuroscience tells us there's 2 types of dopamine. There's cheap and expensive dopamine. Alcohol is cheap dopamine. It requires 0 effort and gives a massive reward. But building a business, getting in shape, new hobby, doing a passion project, that's expensive dopamine. You have to pay the cost up front and then get the reward later. And your brain loves cheap dopamine. Let's just be honest, it loves cheap dopamine. It does not want delayed gratification. So everything in you is going to want to hit the eject button and then go get a drink and then ease that tension. But you got to embrace the suck. It's going to feel bad, but you're moving forward. And also, this stage is not forever. Stage 3 is traction. It's where your new identity starts to take form. The inertia of getting started is now turning into momentum. You're seeing fruit. You got new behaviors, you created new relationships, you got new beliefs, you're starting to build competence in whatever that new activity is, and suddenly you're getting a little medium reward for your effort. It's not that low reward, it's medium. But there's a specific kind of boredom that hits here. I call it the soul salmon effect. If you're the only salmon swimming upstream, man, it's lonely. If you go back to your old friends and they're all happy with how things are, it's tough to share your new experience with them. But you are also waking up to a massive truth that alcohol, it wasn't adding excitement to your life, it was actually masking boredom. The life you yearned to live wasn't happening, but the alcohol made you feel satisfied with less. It made you okay with the mediocre reality. At stage 3, the mask comes off and you see your old life with new eyes. Stage 4 is evolution. This is where identity turns into innovation. And at this stage, life isn't boring. You're skilled now at that replacement activity. You're getting high reward for your effort. This is where your current self starts to thank your past self for persevering. You aren't just surviving, you're creating. In this stage, I launched an app, I launched a business, I wrote an album. Your ideas are becoming reality. You're living with a passion because you aren't masking the boredom of doing nothing. But I gotta warn you, if you go hang out with your old friends at the bar, you will be bored out of your mind because you're not a drinker trying to quit anymore. You're fueled by a vision. You're being pulled into the future. and watching people distract themselves from everyday life, it just isn't that interesting anymore. Finally, stage 5, it's self-mastery, destiny alignment. This is where you realize that you were created to do something great on this earth with this one life you have. And alcohol, it wasn't dead weight, it was actually an enemy. Alcohol has been trying to kill you and keep you from your destiny. So, however it helped you in the past, it no longer is helping you now. At this stage, you have rare, almost no cravings. And here's a little science behind why that is. When you drank, you burned out your dopamine receptors. You needed a huge explosion of booze to feel good. At stage 5, your receptor density has healed. You've regained sensitivity. So a sunset, a conversation, a good idea, they're actually more enjoyable than a shot of whiskey ever was. Does boredom exist here? In 2 ways. One, if you're so focused on your destiny that you never unplug and take time to rest, you're going to burn out. And then you're not going to be able to do anything productive. And then you're going to just be spinning your wheels, and that will feel boring. So you have to find ways to recharge your batteries in a healthy way. The second way that it's going to be boring is if you go hang out with your old friends at the bar. It's going to be conversations that you've already had, and you've actually surpassed that. Your identity is now different, and you don't enjoy those types of conversations that you used to have, or the way you used to spend your time. At stage 5, you feel sharp. You feel dangerous. You feel like you wield power. When you set your mind to something, you make it happen. You realize that life is short and it takes time to create meaningful things. And once you realize that, you don't want to waste any more time. So is life boring without alcohol? At stage 1, yes, absolutely, it can be boring, and you got to fight through that. At stage 5, no. Being alcohol-free is a superpower, and you're going to feel more alive than you've ever felt. There's always another level of the game, so you'll never completely master yourself. But once you're on the path to self-mastery, you don't want to step off of it. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.